this special song to you. Check it out, it's all for you.
The first update I would love in housing is a true survival mode. Context: this is how survival mode currently works in housing. Obviously, this isn't survival mode. This quote-unquote survival mode isn't ideal because it makes it hard to do certain minigames in housing. For example, the Anarchy House. Anarchy houses are pretty much unplayable right now because survival mode players literally have access to bedrock. What a true survival mode update would do is remove the housing build menu and instead have survival mode be survival mode. Changes that would come with this update include the dropping of items from the inventory from blocks and on death. Also, crafting. Crafting doesn't work in housing right now, so adding that would be a welcome change in addition to the survival mode update. Infinite houses, or at least bigger houses. Hypixel Skyblock. I'm going to compare this to Hypixel Skyblock. They give players 241 by 241 plots, even though the focus in Skyblock is really not to build. The max in housing, where clearly the focus is building things, is 100 by 100 plots. Of course, Skyblock makes the money for Hypixel, so there are clear reasons as to why they get more benefits to housing. But the question is, do those benefits really constitute a 13 million block increase over housing? Just imagine how game-changing it would be to even have 161 by 161 plots, which is the base size for Hypixel Skyblock. That is 3 million more blocks to build on, which is a 4 times increase over 100 by 100. An increased housing size would not only let players be more creative and have more freedom to build, but it would also make it feel like the designated game mode for building, as sometimes it feels like Skyblock is just becoming a better Hypixel housing. The housing menu is probably the most disorganized and scuffed thing to ever exist on Hypixel. It's quite intimidating, if I'm being honest. So I propose a housing menu overhaul. This is how it would look. In the proposed housing menu, I've completely removed the clunky block menu because at the moment it's quite redundant with creative mode now in Hypixel housing. For the blocks that are not normally in the game, there is a short category where all those blocks are accessible. Next, for the Pro Tools section, I propose better world edit. This might not be feasible since I don't know much about coding, but why not just reach out to the official World Edit plugin team to make a more sophisticated one for Hypixel. The complexity of the housing menu can be intimidating to new players. Overhauling this feature could bring fresh players to the game. My ideal vision for housing is a game where players can build and design their own mini games on the Hypixel network. If you want to design a mini game at the moment, there are definitely lots of things that you can create, but if you're doing something complex, you'll quickly find yourself limited by the raw features available to you. When I say raw features, I'm referring to things like teleporters, jump pads, and regions. Things that have been hard-coded by Hypixel developers into the game. Adding a few more could really be game-changing considering the creativity of some people in this community. I thought of a few ideas for this update, the first being teams. Players part of the same team wouldn't be able to attack each other during PvP, so it could provide some cool minigame situations. I also conceptualized a region update. In housing, you can set up regions, which are areas that perform actions when players enter or exit them. A game changer would be regions or areas where certain different things happen inside of that area. For example, maybe a region that breaks any block that has ended up within the bounds of it, or a region that only lets certain housing ranks build in or enter that region. These are just a few ideas, but I hope you see the potential of these few concepts. The final alteration, which would be the greatest cherry on top to a housing update, would be to remove the Blacklist. Over the years, players have brought glitched mini blocks and items into housing, and finally the Hypixel team has cracked down on this issue and implemented a blacklist for those items, meaning that they're automatically removed from containers and inventories if spotted by the server. I somewhat understand why they did it, but then again, I don't. There are years of history in those items, and Skyblock has their own glitched item trading economy. Hypixel Housing's glitched items are very harmless, and they've pretty much been all blacklisted. In my opinion, removing the blacklist would easily be the most revolutionary update.